Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today's Tuesday. I think it's July 20th or the 21st. I forgot to take my phone out with me, check the date. But not to bore you with entering into the hive, I wanted to take a quick look, and I just slowly, gingerly pulled this frame out. And I'd have to go back look at the video, but it looks like they're drawing comb, but they're also storing all the syrup. And to my surprise, the queen is on this frame. So I'm pretty sure they've drawn some comb off of the bottom. And the plan is, I was thinking of building a stand, but I'm just rounding up. I'm making a counting for how many of these cinder blocks I have, and I've got some of these 4x4s. I think I'll set 2 up, and I plan on dragging the Layens Hive out and getting this transferred into the Layens Hive. So yeah, to my surprise, I sort of got distracted for a minute there because I was looking at the syrup that was on the frame, and then I saw a bee that was on the frame with pollen. I'm like, oh, okay, they're storing pollen on this frame too. And then lo and behold, there was the queen. Sort of the catalyst for doing this is that yesterday, it was before 11 o'clock, I came out here and the bees were all pouring out of the hive. I mean, it didn't look like it was a swarm. Well, evidently I found the queen. What they were doing was something that I usually see around 3 or 4 o'clock. So I was wondering, they were just doing orientation flight, going back in, and like what these bees here are doing, that were on the cover. I don't know if those bees have ever been out of the hive, if that's why they're doing the orientation flight. But yeah, that's the plan. All right, so let's take a look at this frame. This has been in here for more than, I think, around 9 days, 10 days. I forget. But, oh, that's another thing I meant to see. My expectations were I was going to see capped brood on this frame, but that's not the case. It just keeps on going. You can see there, I'm pretty sure that's new comb. All that. Oh, that reminds me, I have to be careful with this, right? Yeah, it looks like they're festooning there. Let's see if I can see the queen. She was on this side. Man, I cannot see through this. So let's see what's going on with this frame. They're really all over. Well, that's the comb, and they're not as much on the plastic. And I do not see the queen offhand. And it looks like it's filled with nectar, so they've filled all that up with nectar. I wonder why she was on that other frame. Same thing on this side. So let me put this back in. Okay, now comes the hard part. Just when I said, here comes the difficult part, I meant getting the Layens Hive up, not talking over a jackhammer. So, major roadworks going on, so in order to spare you the jackhammer noise, I'm just doing a voiceover in this section here. So here are the frames that I added the wax to. And this is the frame that I cut comb, drawn out comb into, and that little bottom section there is all new comb that the bees have drawn out since I did the video and installed that. I think it's been 10 days. I was hoping for some sealed capped brood, but so now I'm checkerboarding these frames, the Layens frames that have the bees on them with just the wax foundation frames, and I'm hoping that they start drawing comb out on those wax foundations. And these are the 3 Langstroth frames that I have to get out. I initially was thinking I was just going to lay them against the wall lengthwise inside the Layens Hive, but then dawned on me I could have them hanging from 2 of the Layens frames because there's enough of a gap on the top. But the only problem is that the bees are going to be on the top like that when I open up the hive, because there's not an inner cover. With the Layens Hive, it's the top of the frames that butt against each other. They keep the bees, from coming from the top. I have to make a follower board, and then my plan is that when I have these Langstroth frames in there, I have to figure out a way. I'm going to use a frame and then attach a queen excluder to it, and then find the queen and make sure she's on, well, when you're facing the hive, make sure she's on the left-hand side. And eventually when all the brood hatch from these frames, they'll just get backfilled with nectar, or I can just remove them so all the bees are eventually just on the Layens frames, and I can get these frames out. But underneath all those bees was a lot of brood, and especially on the 3rd frame. So there was some spotty brood there. Looks like some bees recently hatched. But on the 3rd one, there was a lot of brood, capped brood underneath all the bees. I didn't see the queen, so I'll let them rest a while before I go in looking for the queen again. I've got somewhere I have one of those insulated foil blankets that I think I can lay on top there to keep the bees off the top of the frames, off the top bar on the Langstroth frames. But that's the plan. I mean, all the bees are in there now. I just need to make a follower board and then somehow isolate the queen to the left-hand side. So she's hopefully, maybe on her own, she'll start laying. I saw her on the Layens frame, so maybe that new comb that they've drawn out will attract her and she'll start laying on them. So here's the cover. And I screwed the hinges in. I haven't put the chain on yet. But, the bees were kind of disoriented, and then I moved the top cover, the bottom board back over to the middle. And, so a lot of jackhammering going on, and then it ends, when they go home like 3 o'clock or something. Well, it's been about 20 minutes and they're still sorting it out, and I didn't expect them to get confused by these hives here, trying to smoke them out of these hives. And what's interesting is the entrance that has the main activity is the center where all the brood is. So even though there were lots of bees on the two Layens frames, the Langstroth frames were covered with bees and had brood, and that is the entrance that they prefer right now. I have seen bees go into that side left entrance, but right now it's the center right. What my plan is that I have some queen bee excluders, and I was going to cut them and try to eventually get all the bees off of the Langstroth frames and hopefully isolate the queen to the left-hand side so she wouldn't be laying on those frames, and then I could eventually take them out. But right now they're still kind of confused. I was online looking to see if bees can see colors, but my understanding is they can only see shapes, so I didn't think there would be a problem with the white color being changed over from the yellow, which is the color of the nukes. But just move the bottom board to the center there, and hopefully they'll sort it out. As there are a couple of bees fanning, so hopefully they'll figure it out in a couple of hours. And these guys will eventually figure it out too. They're still going into these hives. All right, everyone, so wasn't exactly ready for prime time, but I got the Layens Hive out. Things are settling down. I still have some bees going into those two hives that hopefully they'll realize that that's not their home, and they'll find their way over here. But yeah, I have to make a follower board and then figure out a way to use a queen excluder to get all the brood to eventually hatch off of the remaining, or the Langstroth hives, and then make sure the queen doesn't relay on those and move over to the left where I've got the Layens frames. So this is New England gardening, making some progress on the Layens Hive. They've got what, a little bit of July, August, September, October to settle into this Layens Hive for the winter. So this is New England gardening. Thanks for watching.